Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. LSU announced a couple of transfers that will be coming in, and this is just a very, very, very common refrain across all sports. It's happening in basketball. It's happening in baseball. It's certainly happening in football. Very often, the state of Louisiana produces some really, really talented players who go elsewhere to play their college athletics, and those players are quite often finding their way back to LSU via the transfer portal, and that certainly is the case for Jardin Gilbert and for Zavon Thomas. Jardin Gilbert was a four-star recruit right out of U-High down the street from us here. He went to Texas A&M out of high school and has played 3 years for the Aggies. He played in every game as a freshman, a lot of special teams and some defensive work as well. He started 10 games in 2022 as a sophomore back there at safety, and he did start a couple games this year and then got hurt and wasn't able to play the majority of his third season with Texas A&M. But he's a 6'1", 200-pound safety, and this is very much a position of need for LSU. They're trying to address defensive back via high school, and they signed some really talented high school players in the secondary this past year with Javion Toviano and Ryan Jates and Kylan Jackson and Ashton Stamps, and you know the names certainly. And some of those guys played a little bit, but you're going to have to add to that as well because we don't know what Major Burns is going to do. Sage Ryan's already hit the transfer portal. Andre Sam's out of eligibility. Greg Brooks obviously is not going to be with the team. So you're missing a huge bulk of the minutes and the snaps from this past season in the secondary. So you continue to recruit, and they've got five corners in this high school class that they're trying to bring in, but you need to go get some experience. And Jardin Gilbert absolutely brings that. And so while I don't know what Major Burns' decision is going to be, when I look at what LSU's got with Yates and Jackson and Toviano and Langlois on some of those guys, like, it feels like Jardin Gilbert is likely a plug-and-play starter. Look, they got to go through a spring, they got to go through a summer, they got to go through a fall camp, and they'll figure out who the guys are in the secondary. But it feels like Jardin Gilbert is being brought in here to start. And I think that's likely going to be the case with him in the back end of LSU's defense. So we know that safety play was a big issue for this team this year. Way too many big plays, way too many busted assignments, way too many missed tackles. Gilbert's experienced. He's played at an SEC level. Missed a lot of this year, but I think gives you a guy that can absolutely play in the back end of the defense. Zavon Thomas is another guy that fills a position of need because we believe Malik Neighbors will move on after this year. We believe that Brian Thomas will move on after this year. And once you get past those two guys at wide receiver, you've got Kyron Lacey, who played a big role for you, and then you've got a bunch of very, very young players who are very unproven, whether it's Aaron Anderson, whether it's Landon Ibieta, or whether it's some of the freshmen that were brought in this class, where you've got Jalen Brown and Shelton Sampson and Kyle Parker, and like you've got a lot of guys who were highly recruited players, but not a lot of returning production. And Zavon Thomas does bring some production. Now, Mississippi State's offense this past year was a dumpster fire, if we're putting things very, very kindly. I have not seen a senior quarterback on the precipice of setting that many records look so hapless as Will Rogers did this year. But Zavon Thomas this year did do a pretty good job. He caught 40 balls worth 500 yards and a touchdown, and he is a kick returner, and he's done that very, very well in his Mississippi State career. He's got some kick returns for touchdowns. He's got some punt returns, and that's an area where LSU's been basically inept for the better part of 3 years. They don't catch punts well. They don't return them at all. They have not been explosive in the kick return game at all. Like, it's just not been very good. And Zavon Thomas brings that. He's not got elite size. He's 5'11", 190 pounds, but he's a John Ehret product, and he can really run. So if you're LSU, this is an obvious take for me as well. We'll probably see some of these young players play wide receiver in the bowl game, and that's exciting. I'd love to see Shelton Sampson have 6 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown in the bowl game against Wisconsin. I'd love it if Kyron Lacey came back for another year. But you just don't know what you have at that position because you're losing the best tandem in the country, and you've got to replace all of that production. And I think bringing in a guy who can work in the slot and can help you with kick returning is a really, really good thing. Now, we know that Aaron Anderson was brought into this exact thing last year, and it never really took off. I thought he looked pretty good in fall camp. I said that a lot on this show, and it turns out he comes out there, muffs a punt, and is never really involved in anything they're trying to do offensively. Maybe he's better coming off that injury than he was 4 months ago. Maybe not. I don't know. But they're bringing in some proven depth here at a position of need, and I think that's a very, very good thing. It's going to be one of those deals where going into spring ball and then going into camp, you're going to know all these names at wide receiver. Like, you won't need the program. Like, you'll know who these guys were. It's just a matter of who steps up and becomes the next dude. LSU's churned out NFL receivers at an amazing clip. Who's the next one? I don't know. We'll see what Zavon Thomas can do. Certainly can't hurt yourself bringing in a guy that at the SEC level has proven. This is not seeing if a guy who's running around people in the Sun Belt can do in the SEC. This guy's done it at the Southeastern Conference level, and so we'll see what he can do at LSU. These are two guys that right when they jumped in the portal, you felt like LSU was very much in the mix for both. Turns out both of them are headed to Baton Rouge to play for the home state school. Jardin Gilbert at safety, Zavon Thomas coming in at wide receiver and kick returner. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.